Welcome to Twisted Fairy Tales. This is your host, the Horror Queen.
Nightfall began to make its approach, and the once heavy rain turned into snow. Within minutes, the road was covered in white, and a black SUV with an erratic driver was forced to slow down. Goldie was that reckless driver, desperate to flee from the bank heist as a way to escape her troubled past. Although Goldie was no stranger to the life of crime, she never took pride in her thievery. She relied considerably on her high intellect as she navigated through the corporate world. Her expertise as a financial accountant granted her success until she unknowingly discovered her employer's criminal activities. In retaliation of her intrusive nature, she was ultimately fired and banned from working for any financial institution. This was very devastating for her, but retribution had taken a back seat while she made a living as a hacker, eventually meeting a man named Corey, who was a successful bank robber. Their relationship was relatively professional, but then developed into a romantic love affair. Goldie chose not to involve herself in any heists until Corey presented her with a chance of reprisal. Her former employer became the new owner of a very prestigious bank outside of town. However, the aftermath from the heist became troublesome, and Goldie was left with no choice but to leave Brimstone, leaving Corey and the money behind. Now that she was miles away, she breathes a sigh of relief and decides to turn on the radio. She finds a station and begins listening to some tunes when it's interrupted by a brief news report.
KALP
106.5. Good evening. This is Summer Night bringing you that new news. The residents of Crimson Bay are still on edge after today's deadly bank robbery that left many casualties and many unanswered questions. The local police department as well as the FBI is still investigating today's events, and all suspects have been identified, including ringleader Amir Wolf Karim. The manhunt for Karim continues as he is considered armed and dangerous. Demolition will begin this week of what was once an award-winning and beloved newspaper company, the Silver Fox. The Silver Fox was owned and operated by CEO Luke Thomas, who permanently closed the company down a year ago, just shy of its 11-year anniversary of the disappearance of prominent journalist Terry Mitchell. Mitchell worked for the Silver Fox and went missing in the town of Brimstone under what sources are calling bizarre circumstances. The state of Maryland is in a panic as it prepares for a severe blizzard. The snow has already begun to fall, and although it is light for now, it will become much heavier as the temperature drops. We'll keep you updated every hour on the hour as always, but for now, stay warm and stay safe.
KALP
106.5.
Upon hearing that broadcast, she shuts the radio off and many thoughts ran through Goldie's mind. What happened to Corey? Why haven't the police found Wolf? Then the main question, where's the money? She was overwhelmed with the anxiety of not knowing. Goldie quickly hit the brakes, bringing her vehicle to a streaking halt while making a U-turn back towards Brimstone. Sure, driving back during an upcoming blizzard is an irrational idea, but deep down, she also had unanswered questions. She flipped on her high beams and cautiously commenced her way towards the town. Within the next hour, the snowfall was much heavier, and due to the freezing temperatures, icy roads were becoming dangerous. The windows outside her vehicle were covered with frost, and when she passed the guide sign, she was unable to read it. Goldie decides to pull off to the side of the road to figure out her next step. She steps out of the SUV onto the road, feeling the sharp cold air on her warm body. Jeez, She can feel her body shiver uncontrollably. It was slightly difficult to see. The surrounding area is woods and unfamiliar to her. Goldie rushes back inside her vehicle, realizing that she's lost in the blizzard, and concludes the best thing to do is to find shelter somehow while she waits out the storm. Just up ahead, the road ends with only a left and right path. Instead of turning back around, she continues forward, making a left turn onto a long roadway, going deeper into the woods. 2 tall property signs are visible, with one that reads private residence, while the other says the Bear Estate. Moments later, she pulls into a driveway. There in front of her stood a 2-story shingle-style mansion. She was surprised to see a home of this magnitude so deep within the woods, but was relieved after noticing no cars were around or tracks in the snow. Maybe no one's home. However, she needed to be sure, so she parks her SUV into the nearby woods as an attempt to hide it from view. Goldie retrieves her backpack, then steps out to examine the dark exterior of the estate. The wind began a loud whisper while it shuffles the snow across the ground. Goldie was mesmerized by the mansion and admired how wonderfully crafted it was. Whoa, how beautiful. While walking further, the motion-activated light surrounding the property turns on and was well lit without being too dim or too bright, but just enough to see that she was alone. Interestingly, not a single light was coming from inside the mansion. No sounds, no indication that anyone was home. The wind was relentless, and each moment outside felt like sharp needles on her skin. Goldie bravely knocked on a massive 12-foot fiberglass front door. She waited a few seconds for a response, but the silence fueled her to try the door handle. Surprisingly, it was unlocked, so she pushes the massive door open and was met with immediate warmth and darkness. She reaches inside her backpack for her flashlight and turns it on. After shutting the door behind her, she walks into the hallway with a tall ceiling and a spiral staircase in the middle. Goldie may have found her sanctuary for the night, but needed to investigate the mansion further just to be sure. The exploration was cut short once Goldie became hungry, and looking for a kitchen became her next agenda. The flashlight still in hand, she soon finds the room she's searching for, rummaging through the refrigerator. She puts down the flashlight and allows the refrigerator light to assist her in her search. She pulls out a fresh bottle of water and 3 porcelain plates that seem to be identical in size and is wrapped in plastic. Each plate was also identical in its meal and servings, holding a large piece of meat the size of mushrooms, blackberries, and clams. Ooh, yeah. She unwraps the first plate, getting a whiff of the meal before placing it into the nearby microwave. When it's done, she takes a bite of the meal and spits it out on the plate. Ew! Because the meat is rare. She gulps the water bottle down, then she grabs the second plate, unwraps it, and heats it up. She tries to take a bite out of the second piece of meat, but it's extremely well done and unable to chew. The fuck is this, rubber? She tries her luck again with the third plate, heating it up, taking a bite when it's done. The meat was flavorful, juicy, and cooked to perfection. That's so good. Then Goldie proceeded to finish the entire plate of food, satisfying her fastidious appetite. She shuts the refrigerator door, grabbed her flashlight, and walked into a nearby room. It appears to be some sort of a family room, with a portrait of a family of 3 painted above the lit fireplace, and 3 different styled recliners. What each recliner had in common is they were immense in size, almost as if they were tailor-made for large people. The warmth and the light from the fireplace put Goldie at ease, and after looking at each recliner, she picks one to sit in. Unfortunately, that chair was too hard and uncomfortable to sit in. She sat up as quick as she sat down. Yikes, what the hell, that's made out of bricks? She turned her attention to the second chair, and is so soft that her body sinks inside. Whoa! After a few moments of struggling, she manages to slip out of the chair. Now staring at the third chair with pure skepticism, Goldie decides to touch the chair first before sitting in it. After poking it, she finally decides to take a seat and gleams with joy. Now this is a comfortable chair. The third wasn't too soft or too firm, but a perfect fit for Goldie. She let the chair recline and relax while watching the fire burn. Goldie had a great meal, but was beginning to become tired. It was time for her to find a bed to sleep in for the night. She climbs out of the recliner, grabs her flashlight, and heads up the spiral staircase. When she reaches the top of the stairs, she could see there are 3 separate bedrooms. She was beginning to notice an unusual pattern. Why is there 3 of everything? She shrugged it off and made her way towards the first room on the left. She opens the door and enters into the large and cold dark bedroom. While shining her flashlight, she can see in front of the window a king-size bed. Goldie wasted no time rushing to the bed and laying on it. Oh, fuck, man. The bed was hard and itchy to the touch. She gets up to kick the bed and then walks out of the door. Goldie walks past the second room and opts to check out the one on the right instead. She enters that bedroom and it's slightly warmer than the first one, but still very dark. She uses her flashlight to maneuver her way inside the room. She finally finds another king-size bed and promptly lays on it. Just like the chair downstairs, the bed was too soft. Why don't these people have normal furniture? At this point, Goldie is exhausted and longs for a good night's rest and is hopeful that the middle bedroom has the right bed she needed. She makes her way to that room and pushes the door open, despite the fact that the bedroom was warm and cozy. She was reluctant to lie on a sizable bed, but the moment she did, she felt grateful. Oh, yes. Now I can get some sleep. The bed wasn't too firm or too soft, but just right, and indeed the most comfortable bed she's ever experienced. After turning the flashlight off, she leaves it on the bed, drops her backpack on the floor, and shuts her eyes. Within an hour of sleep, she's awakened by sudden nausea, a nuisance she's endured all day. While climbing out of the bed, she accidentally steps on her car keys that are inside the backpack, triggering the car alarm. With the SUV being further away, she was unable to hear it. She runs to the bathroom and regurgitates in the toilet, then finds her backpack to try out a pregnancy test that she bought. Unbeknownst to her, the alarm awakens the residents of that mansion, whom were sleeping in the underground den just beneath her. What was that? Sounds like a car alarm. Did you forget to lock the front door again, son? Oh no, I think I did. I'm sorry, Mom.
Well, this is your mistake, so you get your ass up and go check it out.
What if someone's here?
Well, then he needs to take care of it. How else will he learn?
The teenage son got up from the floor and climbed up a set of stairs, then walks out of a hidden door within the living room. He sniffs the air, turns on the lights, and quickly returns to his parents. Dad, there's someone here. Both parents sit up, but the father places his hand on the mother's pregnant belly to ease her.
No. You stay here. We'll take care of it.
The father and the son race back upstairs into the living room. They both sniff the air and examine the recliners.
Someone sat in my chair. And look, they sat in your mother's chair too.
They sat in my chair too, Dad. Look at the dent. The father sniffed the air again and ran into the kitchen with his son following behind. They turned on the lights and saw 3 of their plates scattered on the counter.
Look, they ate some of our food.
Look, Dad, they ate all of mine.
Search the house. They might still be here.
From inside the bathroom, Goldie can hear yelling, followed by loud and fast footsteps making his way up the spiral staircase. Oh shit, someone's home. Goldie panics, couldn't wait for the pregnancy results. She places the test inside the backpack, zips it up, turning off the flashlight, and hides under the bed. The son races inside his bedroom and turns on the light. He observes his bed and can tell it's been slept in. Dad, come here! The father runs to his son's bedroom and they both see the disturbed bed.
They laid on my bed and your mother's bed.
Look, Dad, they slept in mine.
Make sure all the doors and windows are locked. I'm gonna go check on your mother.
Both run out of the room, down the stairs, and Goldie saw her chance to try to escape. She steps out from underneath the bed, puts on her backpack, and grabs her flashlight. Every light in the house is on, and she quietly descends the spiral staircase. She tiptoes her way to the front door, but it's locked from the inside. Before she knew it, she hears heavy footsteps running directly behind her. Quickly, she dashes out of the way and the son charges through the fiberglass front door and falls to the ground. Goldie seizes the opportunity to run to her SUV, but the son swiftly regains his composure and chases behind her, tackling her to the ground. Now on top of her, Goldie attempts to fight him off, but realizes he's much stronger and bigger than any average teenager. He places his hands on her throat and begins to strangle her. With Goldie barely breathing and her vision going dark, she manages to pull her right pants up, finding the knife sheath attached to her leg, and pulls out her hunting knife. Knowing her life is in danger, she stabs the teenager in the neck, and he lets out a howling yell that alerts both his parents. They both rush out of their den as Goldie pushes the son off of her and heads towards her vehicle.
Barry!
The parents notice their injured son, screaming on the ground. So the mom rushes to her son's aid, while the dad turns his attention to Goldie, who's trying to escape. Goldie turns around to see the father running towards her at full speed. She darts to the back seat of her SUV and opens the door, frantically searching the floor, then pulls out a double-barrel shotgun she took from Corey. The father reaches her back seat, and within minutes, the shotgun already loaded, she shoots him in the chest. The impact from the blast sends him flying in the night air. The noise startles the mom, who was comforting her dying son in her arms, while blood is gushing out of his neck. She tries to cover his wound with her hands, but he takes a final breath as she gently lays his head on the snowy ground. She rises up and runs towards the SUV that Goldie is desperate to start up. The mother rips off the door of the driver's side and grabs Goldie by the locks and tosses her in the air. Goldie lands onto the thick snow on the ground, and unfortunately the fall breaks her left leg. The mother lets out an inhuman growl as she charges towards Goldie. The mother proceeds to beat Goldie repeatedly, but Goldie pulls out her knife once again and stabs the mother on her side. The mom howls and bites Goldie on the shoulder, yet Goldie stabs the mother 3 more times in the side, and finally the mom rolls over to the ground. Goldie stands up, and although she's in excruciating pain, she limps her way inside the mansion. She makes her way into the family room, and the door from the den is still open. Therefore, Goldie goes through it, closing and locking it behind her. Once inside, she travels down the stairs and looks around. She can hear heavy footsteps above her, followed by loud pounding on the door. There was a bottle of lighter fluid on the shelf that she picks up and holds on to, with the pounding becoming more intense. She looks around for a place to hide and spots a steel door. She opens the door and walks inside, realizing she's now inside a walk-in freezer. She locks the door, turns on the lights, and is appalled to see human remains hanging on meat hooks. The sight of the bodies makes Goldie gag as she regurgitates on the floor. Among the remains was a human face that she recognized. It was the face of her former employer. Although her former employer ruined her career, she was saddened to have learned of his fate. The mother finally manages to bust through the den door, and Goldie can hear her heavy footsteps as she hurries down the stairs. Goldie can feel her heart pounding through her chest, and sweat pours down onto her face. She looks down on the floor only to see an old flyer. While picking it up, the mother begins pounding on the freezer door. Goldie skims through the flyer, and it's an advertisement for a steak meal at the Bear Diner. Best steaks in town, the flyer said. Goldie was once again sick to her stomach after realizing what this family had done and remembering the meal she ate earlier. Before she can react, the mother busts through the steel door. Impossible. She underestimated the strength of this inhuman creature. She hides in the corner behind a shelf without being seen, and the mother walks past her. Goldie slips out quietly while looking behind, but not seeing where she's going, and accidentally kicks a broken piece from the floor. Now that her cover's blown, Goldie throws the lighter fluid into the mom's direction, with some splashing in the mother's eyes. Goldie then pulls out a Zippo lighter, lights it, and throws it towards the mother, setting her ablaze. While the mother is on fire, Goldie staggers as fast as she can out of the den and outside to her SUV. She finds her shotgun, loads it, then stands patiently near the propane tanks on the side of the mansion. She anticipates the mother's escape, hiding the gun behind her, careful to keep a safe distance. Goldie could have left right then and there, but she needed to finish off the Bear family. Soon, the mother busts out of the fiery den and rolls onto the snow, putting the flames out. She's fuming with so much rage that she stands up and let out a loud growl before transforming into her true form, an enormous brown bear. Goldie is startled by the mother's now appearance, but stands her ground.
Killed my family.
You killed all those people.
Yes. And now, you die.
You first, bitch. She pulls her gun from behind and shoots the propane tanks, which immediately blows up, instantly killing the mother and sends Goldie flying through the air. The rest of the mansion blows up and the entire estate goes down in flames. Goldie rises from the rubble, badly injured but alive, and somehow crawls to her SUV, stepping inside, ultimately turning the car on. She pulls out the pregnancy test from the backpack, and it was positive. Goldie smiles as she drives away from the mansion, watching from her rearview mirror, finally ending her terrifying ordeal. She happily runs over a part of Mama Bear's arm that just happens to be holding a piece of Goldie's locks.